Hello, I'm Dell, and welcome to what you need to know about home studios for social media. Now, in the preceding shows, we had both global audio, and then we dipped our toe into global audio with some scene audio mixed in, and how they work to solve the problem with VLC, so that we could actually monitor that VLC without it going over air or right to disk or to stream. This episode is going to go a little bit deeper than that. Come back. So the scenario for this, to use this setup, might be, this is just one example. I'm interviewing someone in Houston, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia, or San Diego, and I'm using the left panel as my exchange panel, my hardware exchange panel, my capture panel to get Zoom or Skype or whoever I might use. So it's taken up. OBS is in the center console, and to the right I have it pretty well much split into two real estate portions. I have Audacity or Odyssey set in the left hand side, where I can run my intro, extro, or infill, exfill music, whichever way you want to do it, or these sound bites. So I've got Odyssey permanently there, and it's wired into global sound. And to the right of that, the other half of the panel horizontally, landscape, I have the stream health in there, so I can see if I'm doing a YouTube live stream that does chat, I can see if something pops up in that panel. I can watch it. I can see if my frame rate dropped, see if someone is wanting to chat or asking a question on live chat. So that's our scenario. How do we do it? Well, I want to bring up my left hand panel, and just as a reminder, there we have it. That's the full panel. Please notice that up at the top I do have them both muted up here, and that's why we got Studio K and me, of course, in Studio O. That's here in the house, and so I do get a little slap back using this setup in the rooms that are so close. Now, when they're in Houston and when they're in Atlanta, not a problem, because they are physically in different locations, and there's no way for that audio to hit that microphone up here, which is very sensitive. So for right now, I do have the audio actually muted, which may seem a little bit oxymoronic when we talk about this, but yet this is how I have done it, and it works well. So let's go ahead and switch to the actual Zoom panel. And from that panel, we just stretch and fill the space with Zoom. So that's where we are. Well, when I look back at that center panel, the first thing I notice is I have this down here. Let me broadcast that panel. There we go. I have Zoom down here, Zoom cable F. And remember, that's a global audio. So the entire show, as it streams or run, is going to have a broadcast of everything that comes in off of Zoom or Skype or whatever whoever we're using on that panel. So it's going to be hot all the time. While I've got my pre-stream set up over here in the engineer's panel and I'm watching it go, I'm still doing my last minute talk to my guest. All right, this is what we're going to do. We're fixing to go live. Are you ready? Do you need to scratch your nose or anything like that? Get you a quick sip of coffee, anything? If you do, let me know. Type it in the chat window on Zoom, so that I can see, and I'll take you off, so you're not on camera, not in the broadcast. You can scratch your nose and you can raise your hand when you're done or whatever. Tap me, I'm done, and I'll switch this back. So it looks nicer without making someone suffer through an itch. And I don't know what it is. As soon as I get on camera, something's going to itch. Maybe you're the same way, or your guest may be the same way. So that's the way we handle that. But while it's up and running, if I talk to them, because this mic is hot and I'm running directly to the Zoom software, they hear me. I can hear them as long as I have this global audio here on. Now you can come up here and hit mute right up as you try to cue the music and do your intro and make sure the stream started all at the same time. You can run down there and turn them on. That's one way to handle this situation. That's a little bit much for an old guy like me to handle. So what I do is I go up to my pre-stream. Okay, that is nothing more than text, as you can see down here at the bottom. It's just text pre-stream. And let's look at the text if you have never looked at that. It's nothing more than a sentence or a stream, and I put a bunch of spaces in front to give us that space in between the messages. So it looks like, okay, here's starting the statement. We just finished the statement. Color-wise, you remember when we got into the green screen, we talked about the red, green, blue. See, this one is F, 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 F. I think that's 6 Fs. Pure white, and you look below it is pure black, which is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 all the way across. And I think for this effort I have, let's see if I can still get it in here. Yes, I can get pure green at 0, 0, F, F, 0, 0. Now you see for the text, it's 100% opaque, and the background, this little gray spot, is 50% opaque. And then, of course, the outline is just 100% outline for so many 5 pixels wide. Okay, so let's go ahead and make that go away. So it's just text. I can put video in behind it to make it a little bit more interesting. I could put audio looping in behind it so they can hear it and go, so that if they're coming in early to the stream and there's still 5 minutes, they can hear it when that music cuts off. That's a good way to do it. So we've got this set up. But if I talk, I have to keep this cable, Zoom cable F, muted that time. And there's times when I'm not putting the cable guy in scene, so I don't really want to catch any accidental dog barks or people or sneezes. Say the guy has to go away to sneeze because he's about to itch to death. Well, if I don't consciously work that mute button and then remember to unmute, it just gets real easy to mess your stream up. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, we're going to add an audio capture. We're going to call this, because we have so much imagination, Zoom Monitor Cable F. We're going to come up here, grab our Zoom, our cable F. We're going to hit OK. Now you don't see it down here because it's a scene audio stuck only into pre-stream. So now I'm going to pop it up in the scene so I can get to it. Audio panel. Now you should be able to see down here, if I did this right, you should be able to see the Yeti mic working. And we have picked up a fourth audio for the scene here. Now, where are we? Our Zoom, there's VLC monitor. There's our Zoom monitor. At this point, we just want to do the same thing, turn that to monitor only, mute output. And while we're here, might as well turn off all the tracks just in case something goes horribly, horribly wrong. Now that we've got that done, we come up into post stream and do exactly the same thing. We switch it out, add in that Zoom monitor. And it should be exactly the same as it was a while ago. VLC monitor done the same way. Now we have both of those two scenes set up so that when he talks or she talks remotely, I'm able to monitor it through the headphones. We don't have any audio going into it except for the Zoom cable F, and that's all the time. So that defeats the purpose. We got to go up to File, Settings, Audio, and delete the Zoom cable F. Now we only have audio only during those two scenes. So now if I come to Zoom, I have no audio. Left panel, right panel, have no audio. Center panel, I can go all the way down that there is no audio coming with this Zoom scene. Now we discussed the nesting of video and audio, and we've shown that easy to fall into trap. But if I come in here, and I'm very, very careful with this, I can come in here and add an audio capture. We're going to call this one, because we have so much imagination, Zoom out cable F. Now we're going to come up and we're going to pull the Zoom cable. And that is the default, which is monitor off, output all tracks. But we have a problem. Did you pick up on it? If we reflect back to the video with VLC, we used global audio and a local or scene audio. We used the global audio to set up a monitor channel so that at all times I could hear whatever was going to be played on the VLC player. This is the second implementation the Dell way. We set up that global audio to always listen to monitor cable C, or the VLC cable. And then only when we would put it in scene to show in program would we have a scene audio that would write to stream, write to disk. We did that so that obviously we'd be able to hear it at all times in the show. We could queue up where we wanted to go. Sure, we could probably take notes if we have something prearranged, definitely set up where we can go to so many minutes and seconds and all that kind of stuff, and you have a chart. But that looks like that's going to get real busy very fast when you're already working with the OBS studio and trying to carry on a conversation if you're having a guest of any type. So it's just a lot of distraction. The VLC version allowed us to play it. But if you remember, in the local audio or the scene audio, we had no monitor. Why? Well, because with a global audio of cable C and a scene audio of cable C, they're probably going to be out of phase, and you're probably going to get a bad echo or a slapback in your earphones. So since we could already hear it with the global audio of cable C, we went ahead and had no monitor on the write to stream or write to disk, the scene audio. This is going to be different because we put in pure scene audio. The only time right now, the way it's set up, the only time we really hear cable F of Zoom is in pre-stream and post-stream. We hear it, but it does not write to the stream. It doesn't write to the disk. If we're making a copy of it, it's not outputting it. We hear them, and we can continue our chat with them to get ready to cue in or whatever. And we can use the same thing during a commercial. If we put the media segment that's going to bring that commercial in, we can go ahead and go back to monitor only of cable F. But right now we don't have a write to disk except in that Zoom panel added. And it's taking in consideration the nesting of it. So it's going to write to disk anytime we see that Zoom panel. That's the way we've set this up. It's only going to write to disk if we're broadcasting that Zoom panel matted either as a nested scene or the full scene in one of the, works great, except that we can't hear them. And that's the problem. That's what our problem is going to be. We won't be able to hear them because the default is no monitor, write all channels. So now we have to go back in, pull up cable F out, and fix it so it monitors. In fact, we might even want to rename it to mon and out to remind us that we are hearing it. And the reason we can put the monitor in that case is because in pre and post stream, they're the only time we have any other audio from cable F. And unless we turn on those particular scenes, we won't hear them. So does that make a difference? I know this is very subtle what we're talking about, but through all of this, audio was the hardest part to get my grip around. We need to go fix that Zoom panel out, that F cable, so that it monitors and outputs. Now what's going to be difficult is I'm going to go back through the nesting. Okay, we have it seen down here. Well, if we go up to the Zoom scene, we look, it doesn't look like we have any audio, does it? No, but we do. Now why do we have audio in this scene? We haven't added it. It's got this temporary thing I put up so that I could show you. It's just literally for this show. And we have the main camera, which we have nested it so you can see me. And the Zoom panel matted, that is the big panel. So these really are the only two things we need in that scene. And we have audio because we have zoom panel matted. That's down here. See, we have that zoom out cable. Now, if I go to the zoom left panel nested, I have zoom panel outed. So I get it whenever I have my nested version of the zoom panel or the guest panel. Okay, I have it down here in the zoom panel matted. I have it through zoom panel matted in nesting, and I have it in zoom because I have zoom panel matted installed in that. So I will have audio. The problem that I have in displaying it and showing this to you is if I have it in this scene, you won't see it down here where I can pick it for you to go up and change this thing. So I have it just like these temporary scenes over here. I've actually placed it temporarily in the center panel right there so I can show you how to do this. Now right after I get this set, I'll go ahead and delete that off. Now are we far enough along in our OBS that we understand why I have to put it there? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and try to bring up this zoom out cable F. Advanced properties. Pull it up, and now we have zoom out cable F. Change it from monitor off to monitor and output. Now we'll have zoom audio, the cable F, playing. We'll be able to hear and we'll be able to play. And because they're all local audios, we won't get the slapback because we only have one version running at a time. And now that we've set this, we can go up to and rename it if we like. If it make it easier to remember, we can rename that. Let's go down here and do that. Zoom out. We can rename that zoom mon and out cable F. So does my teaching style help? I mean, again, I learned out of experimentation in the School of Hard Knocks as I would set up some of the audio, and sometimes early on I would have audio showing up when I didn't want it, and I'd have it disappearing when I didn't want it to go away, and it was frustrating as the devil, or inconsistent. You really need to watch that video, an inconsistent audio, because that really shows something that I did not understand. Because when you discover nesting, there's a proper and logical way, I think, to nest. But when you play with scene audio, you can get into a mess pretty quick. As far as scene versus global audio, I think we've pretty well much covered that. If you watched all these videos in the series on audio, you should be way better prepared than I was when I first started this. And I know I tend to run long. I do 20-minute videos, typically 15 to 20 minutes, because I'm not here to try to sell ad space. I'd be grateful when I get to that stage, because it will help a few pennies and nickels here and there. But if I only had 5-minute content, first, it's chopped up so small, and of course, if we get the one or the two commercials in the middle that we sell the ad space for, if we have 20-minute content, hey, that's 4 shows, right? 4 shows spaced out, and then that's 4 times the amount of ad revenue that you could generate off of a particular show. But I'm not all about the ads. I'm about trying to help you understand how to do this as best I can explain it. And I find about 20 minutes is about as long as my little brain can sit down and kind of absorb the information, technical information like this. I can watch TV for hours at a time, but if I'm trying to process some information, learn something, 20 minutes is good, 50 at a max. After that, the brain can only absorb what the butt can handle. So if you sit in a chair and your chair is uncomfortable, we cut it down. So 20 minutes is certainly longer than 5 or 10, and I hope that we can then concentrate enough on a subject to make sense. All right, appreciate you. Oh, One last thing, remember, if these shows are any good to you, show me some love, some encouragement when you get a chance. Find me on YouTube at RLDL149. Subscribe there. On Rumble at Del Holla Productions, no spaces. That's the user account. I think it's only on the Rumble player, but the benefit of Rumble is you're about 4 episodes in advance. So at least at this pace we're doing this at. So appreciate you. Have a great rest of the night or day, whichever time it is that you're watching this, and we appreciate you.